And welcome to extended discussion of Reservoir Dogs. Now,
well, I just noticed this in the UK. It whooped ass. Holy crap!
That was pounds, though.
Yeah, but
what's the conversion? So what was the conversion at the time?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. The conversion now.
This is before the euro.
It shows that it grossed 2,000. Oh, well, I don't know. Anyway, that's still.
That was its first, when it first came out. But, the film was made for $1.5 million and made $14 million in the box office.
U.S. economy in 91 was good, too. Yeah, U.S. economy in 91 was good.
No.
Wasn't it?
Probably.
America.
But the reason this film has such a huge budget, now, let's just look up quickly what the budget on... I don't even know. Just typing random letters here. The budget for Clerks, was shot for $27,000.
Yeah, but that was all his,
Yeah, he put up his comic books and everything to, fund this movie, and they pulled their money together and made Clerks.
Yeah.
But it's both of them were the idea of the script being the main thing that's driving this. Not relying on having to build huge sets and, do crazy, all the action, it gets into some crazy action in this that you get that 1.5 million out of.
And they also had some stars in here, too.
They definitely did. Now, the story that I had heard about this movie, because Tarantino had written scripts before this one, and he actually sold some scripts before this one. He sold, I believe he sold them before this, True Romance and Natural Born Killers. Had sold those scripts off. That's why those two movies aren't directed by him. Tarantino liked the way that True Romance was done, but didn't like the way that Oliver Stone did
Natural
Born Killers, and actually only gives him the story credit for that and not the full screenplay credit because they changed the screenplay up enough.
No.
Originally, that one was supposed to focus around the two people from the diner in Pulp Fiction, and they're still the same names, but he wanted to have them be the same actors, and so it connects the films.
I see.
That would have been really cool. But anyway, he had gotten some money from that, but also since he had already written these scripts, he was able to get this script to, and I can't remember the exact way it got to him, but I'd read a whole book about all this. He got the script to Harvey Keitel, or someone that knew Harvey Keitel, and they got the script to him. And so that's where a lot of your funding for this movie comes from. It comes from Harvey Keitel reading the script, saying, "This is amazing. I want to do this movie." So it gets a lot of hype also at the time.
So we should write a script and send it to somebody.
It says produced by Lawrence Bender. That's his long-time producing partner. That's not the executive producer, but because you have to look. That's more crazier for this. Let's see. Quentin Tarantino was working at Video Archives. He's working at a video store. Planned to shoot the film for $30,000 with his producer Lawrence Bender. So he's going to go in spending about the same as Clerks. Then Harvey Keitel became involved to co-produce the film. With his assistants, they were able to raise $1.5 million. So it doesn't tell how the whole story came into how he got the script. But he was set to make this movie anyway. And looking at this movie, if you there's the crazy scene with the cars, breaking into the cars and smashing that, those kind of scenes seem where you're gonna get a little more budget. You have to block off the streets, plus getting the big name actors in this. But you could have done this with he could have searched and gotten some great actors, good actors for it, at least good enough for it. And you centralize most of the stuff in that one venue, and even shooting off in different venues that they shot in, you can do that for cheap. So I can see how this movie relies so much on the script and the dialogue that you don't need to go into those crazy places for.
That's what it felt like, and then also the cuts were really long, which is usually indicative of that too.
Yeah. I also find it interesting that the way they have Tarantino not being in much of the film, it allows him to be behind the camera more, not as cinematographer, but to be there and direct it. Yeah, so he wouldn't have to be directing himself the entire time.
You're the double entendre.
Yes. Yeah.
Sorry.
It's good. It worked out for our benefit because this is the first, first time we get to see him directing himself in a movie, and while it's cool, he's going to put himself in his film. Even if you're doing this as your first film, you don't know if you're going to go on to more success too. And a lot of directors like to put themselves in there for that moment, but it helps because you don't have him in there as much. and to rely on
just
more
that one time where he died.
And a lot of these actors become so much, they've gone on to do such great things, especially like not only just the career before them, but like Steve Buscemi and Tim Roth. Seeing all the stuff that they've gone on to do. Michael Madsen did some Tarantino films, and now he's potentially one of the people
I like
who did
the
that script.
boss. Who was that?
Yeah, Joe Lawrence Tierney.
I like his joke.
Which
The joke when he's like, "Oh, a bunch of jokers, huh? Sitting around telling jokes to each other." Let me tell you a joke.
There are lots of.
I like Stephen Wright too.
Oh, Stephen Wright, brilliant as the DJ.
Welcome to K Billy.
Super sounds of the 70s.
A lot of racism.
Yeah, there was. This is.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't even. This didn't have. There was. I guess like the other cop was black. So there was another black actor in this, but because like in later films. He's got like Samuel Jackson throwing around the N-word. He has other people throwing around the N-word, but there's black people throwing it around. And in this one, he's still writing it in there, even though you've got your white cast for it.
And Wetback. Carlos
Yep,
Wetback.
Yeah. So it's not like he started using the N-word more. He definitely was heavy on it in his first movies.
Which is what I appreciated about it.
Yeah, he's true to his form,
Yeah. He's not
changing that for anyone.
He's gonna be racist in all his films. Not
Exactly.
Just
yeah. And then he finally makes Django and he has an excuse for it.
Yeah. And then that's when
like, look, it's appropriate for the time.
And then that's when people get mad at him.
Yeah. That's why he wrote it, by the way.
He's like, how many more times can I fit this word into a movie? It just doesn't make sense unless I got it. Slavery. There we go. So it's great.
I think the only enjoyment I'd get out of doing something like that is the fact that a movie like that is saying that word in a feature theater. Like,
yeah,
that's just about it.
But he says that in every single one of his films.
Just a full crowd. Yeah, no.
Like, he gets away with that all the time as being the white guy who writes that on all the scripts.
Well, not all the time. Right.
Maybe he doesn't get away with it all the time, but he does it all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. What else? What else?
I liked the one of the scenes I did really like was Tim Roth having to act.
Yeah.
His character having to act.
That's what I was saying, like, when I was first thinking about that, I'm like, oh, that's some poor acting. But he's acting. He's acting as, like, of course it's some poor acting in that, because he's not an actor, he's a cop.
No, like, that part was fun.
I bet that was him legitimately, like, memorizing that.
Yeah.
Trying to memorize that as an actor.
There.
So because that'd be fun.
You should try that on an audition sometime. Just an audition speech. Like that story. Just tell that story that he tells in there. It's an audition piece.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. Would be a good one. I like the detail in that story of even the cops telling their story, like their anecdote, in the middle of his anecdote. And I'm wondering does he tell that as part of the anecdote? Does he tell what the cops are doing? Because it breaks into that.
Yeah.
So it's like, this is going to be kind of weird if that actually, like, let me interrupt this anecdote for another anecdote. And so his partner tells him to, like, know every single detail of it. Which, yes, he should know every single detail in case he's asked. But he shouldn't really tell every detail in the first time telling the story. Because compare that to the other story that's being told. Like, one of the other guys tells the story, and he's like, when someone asks a question about it, and he's like, I don't know, it was either this or that. Like, he doesn't have the details on it, because he's telling the story honestly. And he just remembers the key points in it.
Yeah.
So that's another point where someone could look at him, like Joe could look at him and be a little skeptical of him. Because his story is too rehearsed and too detailed. So I think it shows, Tarantino knows in that he is being too detailed in it. It's because he shows that contradiction by showing the gangsters tell their story that isn't as detailed.
Maybe that was what made him his instinct.
I think so.
Bit, right?
Like, he doubted him, but there was still enough else. They built up his cover well enough that he was able to get into it. It's just Joe had his eye on him, and as soon if something went wrong, he'd know it would be him, and he did. He just didn't get there in time.
I thought it was weird.
He got there
when
in time to die.
When Harvey Keitel was going to light a Zippo.
Yeah, he was so couldn't do it. Yeah, which I think leads to that scene in 4 Rooms.
That's what I thought of too, but it was just weird the way he did it in that.
Yeah,
Like he was like,
doing
I'm
it
doing
too
this cool
quickly.
trick. Maybe not. All right.
Yeah.
And it's like there's blood on him and shit, and he's like,
He was nervous. He was really nervous in that point.
I thought the point of it was that he was snapping so hard it sparked.
Oh, it's like one of those Zippo tricks. What are you talking about?
No,
Damn it.
I missed it. I thought that was the point.
It has a lot of films that it talks about being inspired by The Killing by Stanley Kubrick is one of them.
I've
Which
seen that movie.
I recommend checking it out. I don't know if it's on Instant Watch. Back when I was first watching these Tarantino films, I was working on a paper for school that was comparing the works of Stanley Kubrick with Tarantino. And at the time, Tarantino hadn't even had as many, but I was looking at lots of parallels between the two. But that was the first feature film from Stanley Kubrick, a heist movie, The Killing.
Oh.
And it's also similar to Jackie Brown. I've seen that one. But it's one that does jump around in time a lot, the way that he does and Tarantino does in a lot of his movies.
So it's like it's
and there's lots of things you'll see from there, and even in
segment.
Robert Rodriguez takes a lot from it as well. Just a good kind of classic film of that. But because Tarantino worked in video rental store, like he went home and would take home
I
a
didn't
different.
even know that.
Yeah. So this is okay. The story behind Tarantino, which is it will explain all of his movies that he's ever done.
All right.
So first of all, he was he grew up watching television shows like Kung Fu.
Yeah.
And being immersed in all of that. But when he started working at the video store, he would take home different movies every single night and watch everything that they had in the video store. And so he would just absorb all of these movies. This is, before the time that we've got Netflix, right as videos are first being available to be watched on home video. Yeah. And even when video rental stores first came out, is because the VHS tapes, they were charging like $500 for a VHS tape, because it was the film, and if people can watch the film at home, they're not going to go out and see the movies in theaters, so they have to charge more for it. So then video rental stores popped up because they could buy them and rent them out to people for cheaper. So
I just noticed greatest independent film ever made.
Someone said that after its success in Britain, it was shown at Empire magazine from England called it the greatest independent film ever made. At that time, they had said that.
The renowned Empire.
You could definitely say that, I think, at the time. So he would absorb all of these different films, and so he's that's why all of his movies, he'll pull these references from all these, the history of the genre of movies. So you watch all these gangster movies, all these heist movies, and pulls these little bits from all of them, and even their discussion of the what's the movie they're discussing in the car that has the movie starring Jackie Brown. Mm-hmm. He later works with her in that, but they talk about her in there. Like, he's got all of this pop culture knowledge from all these different films and TV shows. But he uses all of those to take the best little bits from all these movies and produce something that goes away from the standard of that genre. And then he, kept working on the heist movie in his next films. Does a really great job with the stuff in Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
And then moves on to different genres. And he had, done the Kill Bill movies to do the samurai ones, and using lots of different tropes from those movies. And it's like, oh, that's just like in that movie, taken from this one. And a lot of people will point out, oh, he just took that from there. And he's building off of what they've used. Now moved on to the Westerns, and he's doing that kind of thing.
So
but that's
29 when he did that.
Yeah. So that's how his.
Oh, okay.
That's how he builds his kind of scripts, by just absorbing everything else that's out there, rather than just being insular and focusing on the ideas that he's got and trying to do it from scratch, or just looking at one or two examples. There's a wealth of film
he's just got every film he's ever seen.
Yeah, and he's still constantly watching every film he can get his hands on. He's in love with the media. Yeah, I'm sure he has. What was the movie he said? He said he listed his top 10 films of last year, and one of them on the list was The Lone Ranger.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
I haven't seen it, but
I saw it. It was enjoyable, but I would not put it on the top 10 list of the year. So it's just,
Maybe it was because it was Johnny Depp playing it.
maybe maybe there were feet in it. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure Avatar was on there at one point.
I'm sure he loved
Oh,
that.
was
I
he?
don't know. But yeah, Tarantino doesn't necessarily have to have the same taste as you, but he definitely watches a lot of stuff. So
I mean, it's just like Bill Clinton as a president. He's a good president.
yeah, exactly.
Might have been a dick of a husband, but he was a damn good.
I don't know. Tarantino's no Woody Allen or
Woody Allen's
the guy
good.
from
I can't
Chinatown.
stand
Woody Allen's a
Chinatown.
good filmmaker.
I know.
Can't
Who directed
stand his
Chinatown?
movies.
Is that one? That's Roman Polanski.
yeah, Roman
Yeah,
Polanski.
he's not like-
a great filmmaker.
Yeah, both of them. Both Woody Allen and Roman Polanski are great filmmaker, but I wouldn't compare them to Tarantino. Like Tarantino's
yeah.
personal life that we've heard of isn't anything like theirs.
Well, not as
At
bad.
most, he likes feet.
He just likes feet.
Yeah.
And he's just
At
weird.
feet's a lot better than minors. I'd prefer the director to be into feet.
Just because all those canaries die? Or?
Yeah.
Alright,
I don't like Woody Allen. I'm just putting it out there.
I mean, I like some of his stuff, but not one of
I
my
really like
favorites.
Midnight in Paris.
See, I didn't see that one because he makes a new film every single year, so I haven't seen.
That one's really good.
I haven't seen that. I saw the last one he did. Anyway. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I forget what I wanted to say because I did.
You wanted to
I
see
cut
what else
myself
Chris
off.
Penn was from.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, he did. He's like, where do I know that guy from?
He knows him from when he died.
He died?
Yeah, 2006.
From what? That's not fair.
Yeah. Is Sean Penn's relative in some way? Who's yeah. Found in Santa Monica.
He
age
was in
40.
Footloose. Footloose.
Yes.
He was the jerk boyfriend.
That's not where I know.
Yeah, yes.
Do you know him from Reservoir Dogs? I know him from Reservoir Dogs.
Beethoven second.
Mm-hmm.
Beethoven? Yeah.
That was probably it. Rush Hour? Maybe?
Oh,
American Pie 2?
might
I
be.
remember him from Rush Hour.
Yeah.
Corky Romano?
It might actually be Rush Hour.
Corky Morona. What's it called?
Romano.
When he's gay, right? He ended up being gay. Or,
I think so.
Or he couldn't read, one of those.
Yeah.
It has
Is
to.
it
It has to be
dyslexic?
Rush Hour, actually.
I think he might have been both. He might have been dyslexic and gay. You know, like one of them, he finally admitted that he was dyslexic. Like he thought he was going to admit he was gay. And
It's total Rush Hour.
all right.
I don't
It
even
must
He
be
was in
Rush
True
Hour.
Romance as well.
I'm gonna have to look it up as to what scene it is because I don't remember it, but
It's
it has to be.
It's interesting because True Romance came out afterwards, and Natural Born Killers came out afterwards. But he had sold those scripts beforehand, and so like they had held onto the scripts, and then they banked off of some of the success of Tarantino from that. But now that Tarantino made this movie, he would have had the money to make those other movies and wouldn't have had to sell them. Kind of sad that he didn't get to direct those movies.
Yeah.
And now, for the first time since those two movies, he's got a script out there that may be directed by someone else that he's written.
Oh.
Sadly. Because some stupid person leaked his script, and
Right.
now he says he's gonna sell it and let
Right.
someone else direct it.
Yeah. It's like I'm done.
It's gonna be weird seeing someone else direct a Tarantino film now, after all of that.
He's in Rush Hour. He's the guy that Chris Tucker drills. In
Ooh. Drills him. Yeah.
Wow.
I like the
I just
thought of
remember
that.
Wow. Wow.
and he like busts his nose. He gets a bad joke. I think.
I'm not a fan.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So good independent film. It's
Yeah.
It's weird to call this one an independent film, and Kevin Smith talks about it with, people still called his other movies like Mallrats and Chasing Amy independent films because he was an independent filmmaker from the first one.
Yeah.
But Kevin always says that Clerks was his only independent film. Everything after that, he's had studio backing for.
Yeah.
But Clerks,
and
went
it
into
feels
and
different.
shot
And
the whole
even
film.
it feels different too, and you can feel that.
Exactly. You can definitely Mallrats was a completely Universal, Studios made movie.
There were
Yeah,
certain
but-
things about this film that felt independent,
Yeah.
which I think is just residual from the original 30,000.
Yeah. I think because he's planned on making it already.
I think he wrote it.
So the script
He
is
wrote
written
it as
for
an
that.
independent film,
Yeah.
and that's why
Yeah.
I felt that was just because.
Yeah.
He's like,
So
what
it
can
had
I
a lot
do
more-
in my backyard?
It had
type
more,
shit.
yeah. It had more fun. It had more funding behind it. It had the big name actors that you get in it. It's still at its heart an independent film, but it's still odd to call it that with a $1.5 million budget. And nowadays, a $1.5 million budget is considered an independent film
Oh yeah.
too.
Oh, you know what it's like when Spider-Man got his Iron Man suit. He was still Spidey, but he had that.
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
Exactly.
But yeah, Tarantino's definitely learned how to work within the system because he does pretty well for himself. So
Yeah, he gets as many toes as he wants.
Yep, can't wait to see what he can do next. Yeah,
I'd like to see him write pornography.
he does, and it's
Are you
just
sure?
foot porn.
No, it'd be
all
really,
feet.
it'd be crazy.
Bloody feet. It's all bloody feet. There's a lot of blood in this movie. Like heaps of blood. I like that.
You know, you would
Tim Roth's shirt is red.
It would
Oh,
be
it's
feet.
red.
It would be feet, and like people would be chopping off other people's limbs, and it would just be squirting all over the feet.
Yeah.
That's what
Lots
it
of
would
blood
be.
and feet.
So it would start with
I-
the pop shot on the feet, and then you'd see how it happened.
Yeah.
It would be all segmented and not linear at all.
Yeah. I want to see him do sci-fi.
We just wrote
Like,
a Quentin
honestly-
Tarantino.
Oh God, sci-fi.
Honestly, I want to see him do sci-fi.
I don't know if he could.
I think he can do anything he wants to do, and he's doing all sorts of different genres and jumping from genre to genre, and he hasn't done sci-fi.
That's a big fish.
Yeah,
That wasn't a double entendre.
No,
Intentional. That's a big fish.
it is. I'd love to see what he could do with it. Like,
Sci-fi is a huge fucking fish.
imagine if.
Star Wars with Quentin Tarantino.
Exactly. The last one, episode 9.
With his lightsaber.
No, I'm happy with the director that.
No, I'm happy with the director they got,
I think
but
that
like,
was the best choice.
we don't know if he's going to be held on for 8 and 9.
Yeah.
Like, we know he's doing 7, we don't know if he's doing 8 and 9.
Add Quentin Tarantino.
So, like, Quentin Tarantino writes and directs it. First of all, it's going to be rated R because he cannot not put the N-word in there. And
Samuel Jackson is gonna.
Yeah.
well, Samuel Jackson was already in them. Like, he could come back as like the Jedi visage ghost thing.
Oh God. You tie up Luke and.
Or you'll bring back Jamie Foxx. There you go. You use Jamie Foxx.
I want to see like the Michael Madsen cutting off the ear thing with a lightsaber.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
It instantly cauterizes it. So there's not going to be as much blood in there.
Starts dancing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to see C-3PO and go at it with Luke. He ties up Luke and just pounds him.
I
The
don't know.
robot penis.
I don't see C-3PO as dominant. You know?
Well, that's the
I
thing,
really
though.
think-
He acts like that, like, you know,
No,
like all the
no.
serial killers.
I think he just wants R2-D2
Look at
to
Jeffrey
take-
Dahmer. He was the nicest guy, right?
I think he just wants R2D2 to use his tool on him.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh,
when
so
he sees
Luke
him
wanted
like
it?
plugging that out and going into the system's computer on
He's
the
just jealous of all his other.
And he has a
Like,
Bluetooth
oh.
that makes it pump it harder. It's like.
Probably. Yeah.
He's like, I feel the force.
Oh God.
I don't know how we got to.
Yeah.
You know why?
I don't know how we got there.
You know
I was
why?
like writing it down, and I'm like, wow, we're
Because of the diner scene at the beginning of Reservoir Dogs, just randomly talking about stupid things and over-sexualizing pop culture. The same way that Tarantino did, and that's why we scripted that to put that at the end of this episode.
Yes.
That was why it was
scripted.
scripted and planned. Thank you for watching. Join us next week for the usual suspects.
For
where we'll
C-3PO
discuss-
having sex with Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, probably. Thank you.
I want to be C-3PO.
Right?